Corporate Corpse and Rage Economy. Richard stood in the middle of the warehouse like a chaotic general assembling his misfit army. Abu Khalid had returned with 6 of the old crew. The Ukrainians, led by Bandera, brought another 8 hardened operators who looked like they ate Russian tanks for breakfast. The vibe was electric but tense. Old jihadi kids mixed with battle-scarred Ukrainians. It was the weirdest fucking coalition in modern history. "All right, you magnificent bastards," Richard said, cracking open a monster. "We've got a fake-ass Accenture consultant backed by Russians trying to steal our whole movement. We're going to—" His encrypted phone rang. The general. Richard answered on speaker so everyone could hear. "Corpse, we have new intel on Steele. You need to hear this. Talk to me." The general sounded genuinely concerned. "He didn't just copy your style, he turned it into a business. He calls it Rage Vault. It's a subscription platform where disaffected people pay monthly to vent their anger. They post their corporate horror stories, get AI-generated roasts, join live rage rooms, and even buy digital weapons to attack their old bosses in virtual simulations. He's monetizing pure resentment." Richard blinked. The general continued. "He's making bank, millions in recurring revenue. He's got tiers. $9.99 for basic venting, $49.99 for premium psychological warfare tools, and $1.99 for the executive bloodbath package, where they simulate destroying their old CEO's life. The Russians are amplifying it with bots and funneling money through shell companies. Steele is positioning himself as the professional version of you. Cleaner branding, better UX, monetized rage." Richard slowly sat down on a crate, staring at the floor. "That slimy motherfucker." Abu Khalid looked shocked. "He's charging people to be angry?" Bandera let out a dark laugh. "Clever. Very capitalist. Even we didn't think of that." Richard rubbed his face, then started laughing, low at first, then louder and meaner. Of course this corporate cunt figured out how to turn the rage I started into a fucking SaaS product. He took my blood, sweat, and 25 years of trauma and made it subscription-based." He stood up, eyes burning with pure contempt. "General, tell your bosses this. Marcus Steele just made it personal." Richard looked at his crew, the old loyalists and the new Ukrainian muscle. "Boys, we're not just taking this fake down. We're going to expose Rage Vault as the Russian-funded psychological operation it is. Then we're gonna burn that platform to the fucking ground." Bandera grinned. "Finally, some real work." Abu Khalid nodded. "I'm with you, boss." Richard raised his monster like a toast to the real Corporate Corpse, not the subscription version. The warehouse erupted. Richard paced the warehouse like a man who had just realized his evil twin was winning. "All right, listen up," he said, addressing the mixed crew of former almost jihadists and battle-hardened Ukrainians. "We can't just meme this bastard into oblivion anymore. Steele turned our rage into a fucking subscription service. We need real intel." He pointed at Bandera and 2 of his Ukrainian operators. "You boys are good at sneaking into places you shouldn't be. I want you to infiltrate Rage Vault. Get into their servers, their financials, their communications with the Russians. I want to know exactly how deep the Kremlin is buried in this shit." Bandera cracked a savage grin. "Finally, some proper work. Consider it done, Corpse." Abu Khalid raised his hand. "What about the rest of us?" "You keep feeding the fire," Richard said. "Post, roast, spread the word that the fake is coming. But stay sharp. This isn't just some corporate cosplayer anymore. He's got real backing." Meanwhile, on the other side of Europe, Marcus Steele was having the moment of his life. In a meticulously staged live stream watched by over 2.3 million people, he orchestrated the spectacular public downfall of Damien Rothschild, a notoriously vicious hedge fund billionaire known for buying companies just to strip them for parts. Steele's team had spent weeks gathering dirt. During Rothschild's big annual investor summit, the presentation screens were hijacked. Instead of financial projections, the audience was treated to leaked videos of Rothschild screaming at employees, documents showing how he'd avoided taxes through Caribbean shells while laying off thousands, and a secretly recorded call where he laughed about those pathetic cubicle cucks. The finishing blow was a deepfake, heavily assisted by Russian tech, of Rothschild drunkenly admitting he'd rather see America burn than pay fair wages. Rothschild had a full meltdown on live television. His stock plummeted 43% in a single day. Boards were calling emergency meetings. The internet crowned Steele the new king of anti-corporate warfare. Steele ended the stream with a perfectly practiced line, staring into the camera. "Corporate corpse had the spark, but I'm the one who built the fire. The revolution is now professional." His Rage Vault subscriptions spiked overnight. Millions poured in. Back in the warehouse, Richard watched the live stream in silence, jaw clenched. Abu Khalid walked in and saw the look on his face. "Boss, he just took down Rothschild. He's everywhere right now." Richard stared at the screen for a long moment, then let out a slow, dangerous breath. That preppy Russian-backed Accenture cocksucker just went full superstar. He turned to the crew, eyes burning with renewed fury. "Good. Let him enjoy it while it lasts. The higher the pedestal, the harder the fall." Bandera walked in from the back room, wiping grease off his hands. "We're in. We've got a back door into Rage Vault's systems. Give us 48 hours and we'll know exactly how much Russian money is flowing through this fake revolutionary's pockets." Richard nodded slowly, that signature half-smile creeping back onto his face. Perfect. Let the fake have his victory lap. He cracked open a fresh monster. Then we burn his whole empire down. Bandera and his Ukrainian team delivered faster than expected. 2 days after the infiltration, they dropped a massive encrypted folder on Richard's laptop. It was a goldmine. Detailed financial records showing millions in Russian funding funneled through shady Cyprus accounts, internal chats between Steele and his Kremlin handlers, customer data showing Rage Vault was pulling in insane recurring revenue, and Steele's private roadmap for the next 18 months. Richard spent the entire night going through everything, taking notes like a man possessed. "All right," he muttered, cracking his knuckles. "We've got enough here to bury this fake. Russian money, manipulated metrics, the whole thing is a fucking psyop. We leak this smartly and—" He stopped, because as he dug deeper into Steele's private notes and strategy documents, something unexpected happened. He started nodding. Motherfucker. Meanwhile, Steele was cooking. While Corpse was analyzing the stolen data, Marcus Steele dropped 3 absolute bangers in rapid succession that even Richard had to respect. First, the Rage to Equity program. Steele started letting top Rage Vault users buy fractional shares in the companies they hated most. Every time the company's stock dropped due to public pressure, users literally made money. It turned pure resentment into a profitable investment vehicle. Subscriptions exploded. The Corporate Defection Marketplace, a platform where burned-out employees could anonymously auction their internal knowledge, documents, and dirty secrets to the highest bidder, other Rage Vault members. It was like OnlyFans, but for corporate espionage. Legal gray area, morally radioactive, financially genius. The Guilt Package. Premium users could pay extra so that when their old boss got publicly roasted, the boss would receive a personalized "This happened because of you" video message from the user, complete with therapy resources. It made the victims look weak and the attackers look morally superior. Psychological warfare at its finest. Richard sat back in his chair, rubbing his eyes, staring at Steele's latest strategy deck. "God damn it," he muttered. Abu Khalid walked in and saw the look on his face. "Boss, you okay?" Richard let out a long, tired laugh. "This Accenture reject is actually onto something. I hate it, but the man is building a real machine. He's not just monetizing rage, he's making it self-sustaining. The more people get fucked by corporations, the more they pay him to fight back. It's evil. It's brilliant. It's the darkest timeline of everything I started." He shook his head, almost impressed. "I wanted chaos. He built a fucking rage economy." Bandera, who was cleaning his rifle in the corner, chuckled. "So what now, Corpse? We still taking him down?" Richard stared at the screen for a long moment, then smiled that dangerous half-smile. "Oh, we're still burying him. But now I respect the enemy. That makes it more fun." He stood up. "Time to show this corporate cosplayer what real rage looks like." Marcus Steele's empire was growing faster than anyone expected. Rage Vault wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. New features dropped weekly. The Rage to Equity program was printing money. The corporate defection marketplace became a dark web sensation. Steele was no longer just a copycat. He was building a fucking moat. The government, as always, rushed in to protect its precious billionaire donor class. Congress held emergency hearings, the FTC opened investigations, the DOJ started sniffing around for foreign influence. For a brief moment, it looked like Steele might get crushed under the boot of the state. But Steele's lawyers, a team of elite constitutional sharks, were ready. They wrapped every part of Rage Vault in First Amendment armor. They argued that venting rage, sharing stories, and even simulated corporate destruction was protected political speech. They turned every government attack into free publicity. And the Russian influence operation worked overtime to paint Steele as a heroic billionaire fucker standing up to the corrupt elite. The more the government attacked him, the stronger he looked. Meanwhile, Richard launched his counterstrike the only way he knew how. He dropped a brutal new song called Fake Rage, went live roasting Steele for hours, and leaked carefully edited documents showing Russian money flows. It was classic corporate corpse, raw, vicious, and unfiltered. It completely backfired. The internet didn't turn on Steele. Instead, they defended him. At least Steele is doing something. Corpse is just mad someone else is better at this than him. I pay $49.99 a month and it feels good. Let me be angry in peace. For the first time, Richard saw the brutal truth. Steele was a phony, a corporate cosplayer, a slick little Accenture cunt riding the wave. But his influence was real. He had tapped into something massive, oceans of genuine, boiling resentment from millions of people who were tired of being ground down. Steele didn't create the rage. He just built the best drainage system for it and charged admission. That night, Richard sat alone in the warehouse, surrounded by half-empty monster cans. Abu Khalid found him staring at the wall. "Boss, you good?" Richard let out a hollow laugh. "I've been fighting this fight for years. I started this whole thing, and now some fake-ass suit is doing it better. He turned my pain into a subscription service, and people love him for it." He rubbed his face, looking older than he had in months. "To beat him, we're gonna have to play by rage economy rules. Build our own platform, optimize, monetize, become the very upper-level corporate pricks we've been roasting." He looked up at Khalid with dead eyes. "It's like going back to the cubicle, except now I'm the one wearing the suit." The realization hit him like a bad performance review. For the first time in a long time, corporate corpse felt something worse than rage. Doubt. And underneath that, a heavy, creeping depression. He had inspired a movement. He had changed lives. And now the world was choosing the polished, monetized, Russian-adjacent version of his own rage. Richard stared at the floor and whispered, "What the fuck am I even doing anymore?" Richard was spiraling. Day after day, he sat in the corner of the warehouse like a ghost, barely speaking, staring at his laptop with dead eyes. The fire that once defined him was flickering dangerously low. Every time he saw Steele's subscriber numbers climbing or another Rage Vault success story trending, it felt like another knife in the gut. Meanwhile, his crew was buzzing with energy. Abu Khalid and the others were throwing out ideas non-stop. "We build our own platform, but authentic, no Russian money. We expose Steele's financials live. We go harder on the billionaires." The Ukrainians, however, were growing visibly frustrated. Bandera finally pulled Richard aside one evening. "Corpse, we didn't come here to sit around and watch some fake play revolutionary on the internet. We came to hurt Russians. If you're not going to move against them, tell us now. We have our own war to fight." Richard just nodded weakly. "Yeah, I hear you." The breaking point came when the general called. "You've gone dark for 2 weeks, Corpse. We gave you resources, we looked the other way, and what the fuck have you done? Nothing. Steele is getting stronger every day. The Russians are laughing at us. If you can't deliver, we'll find someone who can." Richard listened for about 10 seconds before something inside him snapped. "Go straight to hell and get fucked, General," he said calmly. "I'm done being your attack dog. Go protect your billionaire friends yourself." He hung up. That night, feeling completely defeated, Richard dialed the one person he thought might understand, Hefe. The phone rang, once, twice. Then a familiar voice answered, but it wasn't the usual cocky narco tone. "Corpse," Hefe said quietly. "I've been waiting for this call." Richard exhaled shakily. "I'm fucked, man. I'm really fucked this time." There was a long pause. When Hefe spoke again, his voice was surprisingly deep and calm, almost philosophical. "Listen to me, my friend. You're making the same mistake a lot of men make when they lose their way. You think you can fight hate with more hate, resentment with more resentment, rage with more rage." Hefe took a slow breath. But Steele already won that battle. He turned hate into a product. He monetized resentment. He made it clean, professional, and scalable. You cannot beat him by trying to out-hate him. That game is rigged in his favor now. Richard stayed silent, listening. Hefe continued, his tone almost paternal. "You built something real because your anger came from pain, from truth, from 25 years of actual suffering. People felt that. Steele only has algorithms and Russian money. He has no soul in this fight. But you still do." He paused. "So stop trying to fight him on his terms. Stop playing the rage economy game. That's his battlefield. You need to fight on yours, the one place he can never reach. Raw, ugly, honest truth. The kind that doesn't need subscriptions." Hefe chuckled softly. "And if that doesn't work, well, you still have my number, cabron. Some problems need more traditional solutions." Richard sat there in silence for a long moment, the weight of everything pressing down on him. For the first time in weeks, he felt the tiniest spark return. "Thanks, Hefe." "Any time, my friend. Now, stop feeling sorry for yourself and go be corporate corpse again, the real one." Richard sat alone in the dim warehouse for a long time after hanging up with Hefe. He felt lighter. Not fixed, not suddenly cured, but a little better. It was fucking ironic as hell. The only person who gave him real, no-bullshit advice lately was a murderous Mexican cartel boss, someone who actually seemed to wish him well, in his own twisted way. "Goddamn," Richard muttered with a tired smile. "I really am surrounded by the strangest motherfuckers." He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. If I can't fight hate with more hate, if I can't out-resent the resentment machine Steele built, then what the fuck do I fight it with? His mind drifted back, way back, to something he had written years ago during his first big wave of rage. The 3-point doctrine, the simple, brutal promise he once tried to make politicians commit to. Jobs for anyone who actually wants to work. Wages that are actually worth dragging your ass out of bed for. Zero tax cuts, subsidies, or sweetheart deals for corporate pricks who ship jobs overseas or flood the market with foreign labor. Richard sat up slowly as the idea crystallized. Steele monetized hate. He monetized resentment. He monetized pain. What if the only way to truly beat him was to monetize hope? Not fake corporate empathy-first hope, not bullshit slogans. Real, raw, practical hope. The kind that actually changes people's material conditions. Richard stood up. For the first time in weeks, the fog in his head started to clear. He gathered the crew, the old loyalists, the Ukrainians, everyone. Change of plans, he announced, voice regaining some of its old fire. We're not just going to tear Steele down, we're going to build something better than his rage vault. Abu Khalid raised an eyebrow. What are we building, boss? Richard smiled. Not the dangerous half-smile, but something closer to determination. We are going to create Hope Vault. Or maybe Future Fuckery. Still working on the name, but the idea is simple. A platform where people don't just vent their rage, they get real tools, real strategies, and real pressure campaigns to force politicians and companies to deliver on the 3 points. Jobs, wages, no more selling out American workers. He looked at the crew. Steele sells anger. We're going to sell solutions, wrapped in enough rage that it still feels good. We're going to monetize hope. Bandera crossed his arms. And the Russians? We expose them as the clowns propping up a fake revolutionary, but we beat Steele by being better, not just angrier. The warehouse was quiet for a moment, then Abu Khalid grinned. I'm in. Let's build the anti-rage vault. Richard felt the spark return. He still had doubt. He still had depression lingering in the background, but for the first time in a while, he also had direction. Next morning, Richard climbed onto an old crate, staring down at his crew with burning intensity. The room fell silent as he began, voice raw and loaded with years of pent-up fury. Listen the fuck up, you magnificent degenerates. While that fake-ass Accenture fuck Marcus Steele is busy selling Rage Vault subscriptions so broken people can pay every month just to stay pissed off, we're doing something different. We're launching Hope Vault. Stop paying to stay mad. Start paying to make those corporate traitors scared shitless. He slammed his fist into his palm. Those soulless pricks wrapped themselves in the American flag while they gutted the greatest middle class the world has ever seen. They destroyed the American dream and called it efficiency. They turned this country into corporate serfdom, where your only fucking choices are take the soul-crushing shit job that barely keeps the lights on, work until you die, or get laid off, or go fuck yourself. That is not freedom. That's modern serfdom with better HR slogans. Real freedom means having real options, real choices, and these scumbags deliberately rigged the game so you have none. We're here to change that by any means necessary. Here's the deal. Hope Vault runs on 3 unbreakable promises, and we will shove them down the throat of every politician and CEO in this country. Jobs for every American who wants to fucking work. Living wages that actually make it worth dragging your ass out of bed. Zero tax cuts, subsidies, or mercy for the corporate traitors who ship our jobs overseas or replace us with cheap foreign labor.
On Hope Vault, you won't just scream into the void like a bunch of helpless bitches. You'll get real fucking weapons. A political pressure engine that will hunt down and expose every politician who refuses to swear on the 3 points. A corporate traitor database that tracks every backstabbing executive and company that sold out the American worker. A worker freedom toolkit with legal templates, sabotage guides, and ways to make their lives a living hell. An economic self-defense academy with real skills so we can make these corporations increasingly irrelevant to our economic well-being. And hope-to-action funnels that turn your rage into coordinated strikes that actually hurt them where it counts.
Richard looked across the room, voice thundering with conviction. We're not here to burn everything down for the sake of burning it. We're here to take this country back. The same freedom that Ukrainians are fighting and dying for on the battlefield. The freedom to tell your boss, your government, and every billionaire fucker to go to hell. This is where the real American spirit comes to fight and win. The warehouse was dead silent for a heartbeat. Then it exploded. The crew erupted in raw, thunderous cheers, fists pumped in the air. Even the hard-ass Ukrainians, Bandera and his battle-scarred operators were shouting and nodding with fierce approval. One of them slammed his fist against a metal beam and roared in agreement. Abu Khalid looked at Richard with fire in his eyes. Let's fucking do this, boss. Richard stood tall, the old dangerous half-smile finally returning. Yeah, let's burn these corporate traitors to the ground.